I do want to say this too while we're on this topic. And look, I don't think that Don Lemon should be buried under the jail. Okay, but what he did was wrong. What Don Lemon did was wrong. It was wrong what Don Lemon did, and I don't care. I don't think it's the worst crime against. I don't think he should go to jail for the rest of his life, but he should be prosecuted. You don't go into people's churches, okay? You don't go into houses of worship and harass people. You don't do that, okay? We have to draw a line somewhere. We have to draw a line somewhere. And you say, well, Kayla, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. Oh, so we're going to set a precedent now that if you don't like somebody, you don't like what they do for work, you don't like their politics, you can go into their church, disrupt their church service, film their church service without permission. No. Okay, let's throw this out there. You think that's okay? Okay, so, let's say that the pro-Palestine crowd, there's a pro-Israel rabbi, and they don't like him. So they're going to go into the synagogue, and then when he gets to a certain point in his sermon, they're going to stand up and shout "Free Palestine" and wave flags in the synagogue. You think that's okay? You think we would all be okay with that? No, that would be considered an anti-Semitic hate crime. Or the other way around. Let's say the Zionists, they don't like Muslims. They don't like Palestine. So they go to a mosque, and in the middle of the prayer, they get up and unfurl Israeli flags. You think that's okay? No. Houses of worship, stay out. All right? Don't protest in anyone's church, mosque, synagogue, temple. Stay out. Stay out. Okay? Okay, and it offends me on a religious level, okay? Because it was a church, and I am a Christian, and I know that one of the biggest points that Jesus makes in the Bible is that none of us are good enough. None of us. There is not a single one of us that is good enough, and that forgiveness, one of the beautiful things about Christianity is that forgiveness is there for everyone. I don't care if this ICE guy who was at this church, I don't care. It could have been a child molester, could have been Adolf Hitler, anybody. The forgiveness of Jesus and the forgiveness and redemption offered by Jesus Christ's salvation, you could be the worst sinner in the world, but you can repent, right? And that's the beauty of Christianity. So the idea that somebody who is bad, I guess, I don't even know much about the guy. I guess he's an ICE, he's bad. Somebody that you think is bad is in the church, in a place where they're there to get forgiveness and redemption, and you're walking into their house of worship and shouting, "You're bad, you're right." Wrong. Don't do that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You can protest outside his house on the sidewalk. You can protest outside his job. You can protest on a public street all you want. Don't go into someone's house of worship and disrupt their church service because you don't like them, you don't agree with them, or whatever, right? The worst axe murderer should be able to go to a church and pray for forgiveness for his crime of being an axe murderer. Okay? And it's wrong. And that's one thing, it's interesting. New York City, right? Very, very liberal city. That's one law they really do enforce here. If you go, and there's a reason for this, which is that during the 1980s, ACT UP, which was the the group that wanted more funding for AIDS, the LGBT group that was trying to raise awareness about AIDS, that was one thing that they did, is they went into St. Patrick's Cathedral in downtown, and they tried to protest during the Catholic church services. And they passed a law here in New York City that is illegal. And it's on the books, and the Supreme Court and all that, they've said, you can't disrupt somebody's church service. That's a very serious crime in New York City. Now, what's also interesting, though, is New York City is, in addition to that, New York City is also very strict about churches can't turn people away, which is interesting as well, which most places, that's not the case. Most places, if you show up at the church service and they don't like your face, they can say, get lost. Not in New York City. In New York City, they're a little bit strict that if you are a church, if you are designated as a church in New York City, you can't turn people away unless they're being disruptive or causing a problem, which is also interesting, And if you're a house of worship, a synagogue, a mosque, whatever in New York City, you can't, and you're having a public service, anyone can walk in. And that is also heavily enforced in New York City, which I think is also interesting. It's not like that. And I think that is related to some drama that went on in the Orthodox Jewish community, right? Because there are a lot of sects of Orthodox Judaism in New York City that don't get along, right? Lubavitch is very big here, and you have many different sects, and that I think there were issues in the 80s, 70s with certain groups of Orthodox Jews. Orthodox Judaism is very strict. You have to have a beard, you have to dress a certain way. We're talking like what do they call that? Hasidim, right? Hasidim is very strict, and that some of these temples or synagogues were saying, if you don't have the right beard or you don't, and no, you can't do that, right? And you can't play those games. And so it's actually interesting. New York City is a little bit different than the rest of the country when it comes to that. But yeah, that's one thing. If Don Lemon had done what he did in New York City, he probably would have been arrested on the same day. And I think he should be arrested for doing that. I don't think he should be buried under the jail until the end of time. Okay. It's not like he's not an axe murderer, he's not a rapist and all of that. But you don't disrupt people's church services. You have to draw a line somewhere. Just, it's not okay. Right. Again, I'm not on doing the red team versus blue team thing. I'm telling you like it is. Don't disrupt people's church services. Don't disrupt synagogues. Don't disrupt mosques. Don't disrupt temples. Leave people's houses of worship alone.